Hi, I'm Don, and this is The Hobbyist Geek. Welcome back, y'all. Today, hopefully, we will be finishing off the Optimus Prime build. We don't have the base yet, but that's fine. We should have everything we need to finish off Optimus himself last time around. We got all of the accessories done, and it took a lot longer to finish that than I expected. So I'm not particularly sure how long this is going to take. Hopefully we can fit it into one video. I'm going to give it a shot. But for now, how about we just get started? We already did the box opening and saw the pieces last time. So right now we're just going to get right into the build. Okay, so we're going to kick things off by assembling the components for the back. But before I get started, I should let you know I did read ahead in the instructions. And I did a little something. There are labels now on the electrical cables that are coming out of some key components. And technically they want you to do it much later in the build. But I wanted to test each electronic anyway to make sure they were still functional. And I figured while I was doing it, I'd get some of that labeling out of the way. So that part is done. I'll let you know when we get to that stage. But for now, we're going to go ahead and start building pieces of the back. So we're going to start. These cylinders are part 146, and these are just 54. And there are two of each. We're basically just going to put these cylinders on like this. It's not a tight fit. And same for the other side, just like that. And then we're going to take part 115 and we're just going to slide this down in, and that just came right out. But these little fins right here will fit in a slot that's down there, but it is clearly a bit of a balancing act to get it all done. Let's see if I can't do this. There we go. So it should look a little something like this when you are done. Looks like the curved section here is facing towards, I'm guessing this is the front. I honestly don't know. But with that done, we're going to take part 92. It's got the little posts coming out the side here. We're just going to slide that in there like that. Part 91, which is going to sit on top of it. There we go. And then right down the middle, we're going to throw a PV 2.3x6 screw. All right. There you go, nice and tight. And with that in place, we can take two more of those 146 posts and throw them on like this. And this is part 114, and it clearly just fell out. It's got the same slots here for these fins, but it's also got two little posts here and here. And those will go into these holes here, but we have to apply a little glue first. So this is another balancing act. Shock of shocks. Let's see if I can't get it done. There you go. So now these will roll, these will roll. Got that nice little interior there, and hopefully that glue will take, and we are good to go. And that is the end of this step, and we can move on. All right, next up, we're going to take part 76 and part 77 here, and this is part 93. Now 93 has these two pins on the back. Those are going to go into those two holes right there, with the piping coming out like this. So it should look a little something like this when you're done. But we got to put a little glue on these pins first to make sure it stays. Perfect. Okay, now this is going to slide in to part 76 just like this. And there's two holes here that'll line up with some screw posts here. And we're going to be using PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. Look at that. Beautiful. And we're going to take the assembly that we had before, make sure these fins are facing down and the piping is facing up. And it's going to go together like this. You can see there's two holes here and two posts. Those are going to line up. There's a slot here and a tab there to help, just like that. And right in those screw holes, two more of the 2.3x6 screws. Beautiful. Not going anywhere. And now we're going to take parts 55 and 56, and if you take a look on the back, the number 2 on this one means this is part 56, and the number 1 part 55. So 55 will just go in here like this, 56 on the other side, and yeah, we got to put a little glue on the tab to go into that slot to complete this assembly. There we go. Now this is a bit of a loose fit, so make sure you hold them in there nice and flush until they stay on their own, and then you can let the glue dry the rest of the way. But this completes what they refer to as Assembly 1. Alright, for this next bit, what we're going to do is we're going to take the battery pack that we've had since issue 1. We're going to take part 116 here. When we come in this side, I'm just going to put the power lead right through there, just like this. And there it goes. All right. So we've got our battery pack right in there, looking beautiful. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take part 140 right here. This is going to be the on-off switch. Now, if you look on the back, there is an empty pin and then 2 leads. From this side, make sure the empty pin is facing left. Okay, so you put it in there, and you're going to use 2 PB 2.4 screws on either side to hold it in place. There you go, just like that. And on the flip side, you can see on, off, should be able to flip the switch either direction. All right. All right, continuing on with the back here. We actually have part 47, 75, and 113. Now, in all cases, I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, but right here, there is a number 2. On this, there is also a number 2 right up in here. And on this, there is a number 2 as well. So that's how you know you have the 3 right parts. And everything we do here, we're going to duplicate for these. All of these have number 1 on them. This is part 46, 74, and 112. So, first thing we're going to do is attach this with a little glue. So, there are 2 little posts here. I'm going to apply a little glue onto those and make sure the number 2 is facing the thin edge here. And we're just going to place this down like so to attach it. Just like that. Now we're going to take part 47 here. I'm basically going to fill in the gap with this, just like this. And in these 2 screw holes, we're going to use PB 2.3x6 screws. All right, should look like that when you're done. And to finish it off in this little slot right here, we're going to put in a magnet. We've got to glue it. This is one of these rectangular magnets. Wow, these are strong. So one of those rectangular magnets like this. These are part 171. So we're gonna put a little glue in here and we'll get that glued in. And there you go. And now we just repeat all of that for this side. All right, now we've got two of them ready to rock and roll. Now we're gonna skip this part just for a bit, and I'll tell you why. What we're gonna be doing here is taking parts 167, which are these square pieces of non-magnet metal. That look like this. We're going to be gluing them one on either side, just like this. And I want that glue to dry before we really get to the stage after this, which is putting it on. So I'm going to glue them now to give the glue a little time to dry. And there you go. Nice and glued in. And now we're going to let that dry a little bit while we move on to the next bit. Or I should say the previous bit. Okay, what we're going to be doing is taking the battery box here. And we're going to take this section. This is the section with the number 1 on it. Okay? And that is going to go in just like this. Now there are 2 little pins here and 2 posts. Posts are going to line up with the screw holes. The pins are going to line up with, well, the little holes. Push it in, and in these screw holes, we're going to be using PB 2.3x6 screws. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And there you go. Looking pretty. And with all of this in place, and hopefully this glue is dried at this point, we can slide this in just like so. Yep, and it magnetically attaches. And we now have a completed battery box. Look at that. And, yep, just comes right off. How awesome is that? All right, now we're going to start on the head assembly here. So we have the head that we built way back in pack 1. Still looking spectacular, may I add. And then we're going to take part 44 here, and that's basically just going to slide right onto the front. Of the neck here. There are 4 posts in there, and there are 4 pins. Should be fairly easy to line it up. And then right in the middle, we're going to throw a PB 2x6 screw. All right, look at that. Now we're going to move on to part 45 here. There are 4 posts all around, 4 post holes. Just slide it in. Look at that. That is gorgeous. And just to make sure it stays right here in the bottom, we're going to put another PB 2x6 screw in. All right, now we're going to start building the speaker assembly right here. So we're going to start with part 65. And 164, which is this little foam protector. And this is a sticker, so we'll pull the paper backing off. We're just going to put this thing right here in the center. Just like that. Speaker will slide in, and it looks a lot like the cable is supposed to come out the back side. At least for, or not. Okay. Actually, looks like the cable here is supposed to go through the left hole if you're holding it in this orientation. I had to move to the next picture in the instructions to see that though. They're not very clear when they're just showing the assembly. All right, then we're going to take part 64 here. We're just going to cover it up, make sure the holes all line up. And boom, look at that. And if you flip it over, what do you know? You got screw holes in each of the four corners, and we're going to be using PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. And there we go. I love the idea that the speaker here is going to be right next to the head. That actually seems really cool to me. But I gotta tell you, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not so sure about the head here. And look at that, there's not a lot of back and forth motion. You can rotate all you want. Back and forth, not that much to it. Maybe that's where this comes in. We shall see. But moving on, I'm gonna take part 63 here. And that's just gonna sit right in there, okay? I'm gonna take 162, which is these nuts. If you look at the bag, it actually says nut 3. And it's just gonna slide on in. All right. And this is a PM 3x10 bolt. I have to get out another bit for this one. Oh, we're gonna take the bolt with one of the fancy washers they call part 161. We'll throw that on there and come up from the bottom to hold this in place. There we go, look at that. And we're going to take part 174 here. The instructions are kind of hard to see, so I'm hoping I'm getting this right, but it looks like the flat tab part goes in first. All right, we're going to take the head, and again we've got one of those and another of these 174s. Flat tab going in first from this orientation. All right, should look a little something like that when you're done. Now we're gonna put this onto the speaker somehow. No idea how. But first things first, we're gonna take the cables here, and they're gonna go into these two holes and go all the way through, just like this. And if you've done it right, these little flat parts are gonna be facing the same direction. We're going to start with part 62, which is this right here. It's got little holes for the nuts and this post. So it's going to go like this. That post will go right in the center. The holes for the nuts. We'll get the nuts. Man, this is going to be a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? And then we've got part 61 here, which has the two flats on there. So those tabs are going to go in the flats. All right, and if you somehow manage to get it all together, there's a hole right in the center there. We're going to be using a PB 2x6 screw to hold it in place. All right, so now we have a double jointed neck joint. So it can come up just like this. How cool is that? All right. Well, now that we've got that in, let's see what's next. All right. So, starting on the right side, when looking at this orientation, we're going to take part 119. If you look real close, there's a number 2 on it. And that's got these 2 bases here, 2 posts. Slide that thing on just like that. And we're going to be using 2 PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. And then we're going to repeat that for the other side with part 118, which has number 1 on it. So it should look a little something like this when you're done. And to finish off this little bit here, we're going to take part 122. Let's get these 2 large posts. Those will be facing downwards. And that'll come in, I believe, like this. Yeah. Okay. So these 2 posts right here, those go into those big post holes. And then we've got part 172 here. Same basic deal. You got 2 big post holes. Those will go on these 4 right there. So I would say, based on what I'm seeing here, yeah. The instructions basically say do them at the same time, but I would say do 172 first because it's got a little bit of a lower lip here, and it looks like this just sits on top of it. So, like that. So do this one first. And we're going to be using 6 PB 2.3x6 screws to hold them both in place. There you go, look at that. And as far as the head is concerned, yeah, we've got a little bit of ability to look up here. Not as much as one would hope, but a little. Oh, look at that. Looks like I am going to have to glue that all this time. Well, that's fine. I'll fix that momentarily. But looks like we do have quite a bit of ability to look up, but you're gonna see all of this stuff inside. It is what it is. And the neck can come way up like this, but certainly doesn't look the best when you do. That's okay though. We will figure it out. All right. And that actually completes this assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this thing back in, and we will move on to the next stage. All right, now it's time to start throwing this back together. I'm going to take part 4 here. This is definitely nice metal. And we've got assembly 1, this thing. And basically it's just gonna sit right here. So we've got 2 posts, we've got 2 little holes here, and it's gonna sit right in there. And we're gonna be using PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. Look like that when you're done. Now, we're gonna take the battery pack here. You can see we've got 2 holes here, and yes, these cables are going to go through those holes, just like that. And then it's all going to line up nice and neat, just like this. And on this side, we got 4 holes, and we're going to be using 4 more PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. Look at that. Okay guys, you gotta admit, that looks pretty cool. You just pull this off, you got your on-off switch, your battery pack, slide it right back on. Man, that is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, next up, we got parts 5 and 6. You got 3 big posts on either side, 3 other posts right here. So they're basically just gonna line up on those posts. Have to be a little more careful about it, but yeah, there you go. Something to this effect. And when they're on there, on the flip side, we're gonna be using PWM 2x6 screws to hold those in place. All right, almost done here. Almost done. Now we're gonna be taking part 94 and 95. 94 having a number 1 on the back, 95 having a number 2. And they're basically gonna slot in here. There's a post, there's a hole. We do have to glue them in though. There you go, look at that. The back is complete. We can move on to the next bit. All right, now we get to build a second matrix of leadership. This one significantly smaller than we did in part 1. And we're gonna kick things off with part 102 here. And we've got a wire, this is 132, and you might notice I've already got a label on it. This is number 2, side without the label, or if you're doing it before labeling, it doesn't really matter, they're identical. So I'm just gonna slide through like this, and we're gonna plug it in to part 135 here. It's just a little LED. And that's gonna come in. There are 2 screw posts there, 2 holes. You kind of line those up. And we've got 2 PB 2.3x6 screws to hold it in place. Just like that. Sadly, everything else from here on out is gonna be held in with glue. I know. So we're gonna start with part 29 here. And there are 2 pins and 2 little holes. We're going to put those pins into these holes here. And yes, we need to use a little bit of glue. All right, and with that in place, we can take part 40. It also has 2 little pins on it, and that'll go into the 2 holes in the clear plastic we just put in, and yes, more glue. All right, should look like that when it is done. Now comes the fun part. Okay, we've got parts 105, 106, 103, and 104. It's important to note, all of them have a number, very, very faint and hard to see right here. So 105 is part 3, 106 is part 4, 103 is part 3, and 104, or excuse me, it's part 1, and 104 is part 2. Now, it's hard to tell. I think it goes in this orientation. So the narrower posts coming out should be on top. We'll take 106, push, there's these 2 pins here. We're gonna push those through those holes. Yep, just like this. All right. And then 105, you've got these 4 holes. Those will go over those pins. You want to get some glue in those holes, and then we're going to repeat the process for the other side. All right, there we go. Still a little wobbly here. They just can't seem to figure out how to do the matrix right, but they are in and they're not going anywhere. Now, we're going to take part 101 here, and if you look on the inside, you've got these two tabs. Those two little tabs are going to go into this slot and this slot. So we're going to put a little glue in these slots and make sure the wire, of course, goes through the middle like this. We'll get that in. All right. Make sure you have it aligned properly, otherwise, because it's got to go around these edges as well. And there's only one way for it to go. This actually stabilized the sides though, so I like it. I do like that a lot. All right, and with that done, we've got part 100. It's got 4 pins, and it's got to go same basic concept with those pins into those 4 holes. And it's got to line up just right. There we go. So it's going to go like that. And we got to put some glue on those pins. There we go. And now it's just a matter of waiting for that glue to dry. While we do, we have to cover up the sides here. We've got 2 parts 199. And there's this big tab right here in the middle that's going to go into that big slot there. So just put a little glue in the slot, slide it in, do the same on the other side. All right, here we go. We're getting there. Now you notice there's a little slot here and a little slot here. Guess what's going in there? We've got 2 of these things, part 98. And they've got a little tab on the back, and those are going to go into those slots. So again, some glue, and then we will slot them in. Man, this is really coming along nicely. One last thing to do, and that's on the back side. You can see these 2 circular indentations. We're going to be gluing in 2 of these 168s. Now these are the non-magnetic metal discs. They're going to go right in there, or I should say non-magnetic discs. Just like that. And there you go. We have us a second matrix of leadership ready and raring to go. Awesome. All right, for this next bit, we're going to take part 66 here. You might notice that there are 2 little circular indentations here and 2 rectangular ones. In the circular ones, we were going to put in part 172, which are the last remaining magnetic discs. And in these slots, we're going to be using part 166, which are these non-magnetic metal bits. We're just going to go in just like this. And yes, we have to glue all of them in place. So let me get right on that. Alright, should look a little something like this when you're done. Now I'm going to leave the glue to dry for a little bit before we get to the next bit. Okay, time to do a little more assembly on the chest. This should be fun. Okay, we're going to take the assembly we just built, make sure that these are on the bottom. I'm going to take the matrix that we built and take the cable, make sure it goes right through the back, the hole in the back, and those magnets should hold it in place. As you can see, it comes out quite nicely. All right, now that we've got that in place, let's start assembling a few more things. We got 4 of these part 123s here. They've got a little hole on one side and it's solid on the other, so it's pretty easy to know where they go. Just slide those over that like this. And oh, this is part 107. This is part 108. And we do the same thing for both sides. And these are on there pretty loose. I expect they're going to come off. Well, they're pretty tight on this one, but this one's really loose, at least on the bottom. This is pretty loose too. I expect they're going to come off a few times. That's okay. It's okay. I always put them back on until we can't. All right, now I'm going to flip these over. Just like this. There are 2 posts on each. And we've got parts 89 and 90 here. 89 has a number 1 on it. 90 has a number 2. And if you look real careful right in here, that's number 2, that's a number 1. So just match the numbers up and you should be good to go. And put a little glue on the posts and we'll push these in. All right. And with those glued in, as you can see, they keep coming off the side, the hinges anyway. But with those pieces glued in, we are ready to attach this to the main chest piece. So what we're gonna do is take some PB 2.6 by 6 screws, and these little hinges here, the post is going to go into these holes. So let's do that. And then we're going to repeat the process on the other side. All right, and there we go. Look at that. These will open up nice and neat. That's pretty cool. I like that. Now we can move on to this bit. We can take part 73 here, and we've got part 147, which are these little rubber grommets. They're gonna go onto the posts up top here. Just like that. Next up, we're going to take part 86, and it's got 3 posts. They're going to go into these 3 big holes, just like that. On the flip side, we got part 88 here, and 88, yeah, just going to go over the center like this, okay? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. And then we've got 3 holes, and we're going to be using PB 2.3 by 6 screws to hold everything in place. And look at that. Nice and neat. Next up, we're going to take, this is part 53, this is part 87. You got 2 posts. You got 2 holes. It slides together like that, and then yeah, there's a little tab right there. So we actually want to make sure that tab is facing the bottom, okay? Because that tab is going to go in that slot. These posts are going to go into those holes. Just like this. And on the flip side, we're going to be using 2 more 2.3 by 6 screws, which I have forgotten to pull out. Let me get those. All right, should look like that when we are done. We're going to take parts 120 and 121 here. 120 has a number 1 on it right there. And it's going to slot in just like this. If I can get it over that grommet. Go. And 121 will do the same on the other side. And then they're going to fit over those 2 posts there, just like that. We're going to be using, what are these? These are PB 2x4 screws to hold those in place. All right, well, they're in. I don't like it because these won't stop spinning. I'm not sure how good the hold is, but it seems to be solid enough. But anyway, so you can open that up, open this up, open this up, and then you can pull the matrix out if you so choose. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. When it's all closed up, I don't know how much light bleed there'll be with that matrix lighting up. Maybe none. Who knows? That looks pretty cool. Let's see what's next. All right, y'all. We're gonna start working on the left arm and chest, and everything that I'm about to do here, I have to replicate for the right arm, and there's no real point in me showing you the same thing twice. We'll only do the one on camera, and then I'll do the other one, and then we'll come back. All right, to kick things off, we're gonna take part 59 here. See, we've got these beautiful spaces on the top and bottom. And we're gonna take part 150, we've got 2 of these. Make sure that the nut is facing outward. Well, I take it back, facing inward. Make sure the nut on it is facing inward. And you just slide it in. There we go. Just like that. And then we'll do the same on the other side. I think that's close enough. At least I hope it is. We will find out. Anyway, so we'll take what we've just assembled. And we've got the right arm here. And this is basically just going to sit on it just like this. And we've got 4 bases down there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these PM 3x6 bolts and a couple of those wonderful little fancy plastic washers. We're just going to throw them in there to permanently attach it. And there you go. Now, because they love glue apparently, I'm going to take parts 67 and 68 here. Now, the 67 is going to go on the top, 68 on the bottom. It's important to note, 67, there we go, has a little number 2 printed on it. 68 has a little number 1. So, I don't know that it makes a difference. I mean, honestly, these things look identical. I cannot tell a difference beyond the number. But, well, let's just do it the way the instructions say. Now, if you take a look, there are 3 holes here, and there are 3 little posts in here. And yes, we're gonna have to glue them. top and bottom operate exactly the same way. And it should look like that when you're done. All right. Next up, we're going to be taking part 58 right here. And it has a giant number 2 printed on it. That is going to go right in here on that bolt. That bolt is going to go into that big hole right there. Nice, nice. And we're gonna prep the left, chest piece here with a couple of these little plastic grommets by putting them on these pins. And just like that. And now, right here, here in this hole, at least that's where it looks like it's supposed to go. The chest piece is going to slip in. Make sure the cables are out of the way. And then we're going to take part 57 here, which has a number 1 on it, and it's going to go on top to close it off and catch that other hinge. Wow, that was a pain, but it's in there, ready to rock and roll. All right, now looks like, yeah, okay. Here, here, and here are some bases for these little nuts here. And then on the top side, we're going to be using PM 3x10 bolts with some plastic washers as well to hold everything together and make sure it ain't going nowhere. All right, so it should look a little something like that when you're done. You got your door hinge here, looking sweet. Not sure where the cables are going to go just yet. I'm sure we will find out. But this is ready to rock. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the to the right arm. Alrighty, and now we have the left arm complete. And we are ready for what comes next. Let's go find out. All right, things are about to get fun. Okay, so we've got this here. This is part 60. This giant gap is actually towards the back of Optimus. And this is the bottom of the chest, like this, with this wonderful indentation there. We're gonna start with the numbers. Now I should mention that the stage that comes after what we just did is actually labeling all the cables, which I showed you at the beginning of the video. So you can see all of my cables are already labeled. It's actually pretty clear as to what goes where. So all right, for this next bit, we're going to be throwing the back on, and make sure the cabling here goes into the center cavity, and this post go underneath these two little bits right there, and everything else should line up. There we go. And then we'll use 2 PM 3x6 screws with the fancy little plastic washers here to hold it all in place. And there you go. How freaking awesome is this? Okay, y'all, this is the part I am not looking forward to. There are 2 bases here and 2 more on the outside underneath, and they all need these PWM 2x6 screws to go in them. But the clearance here is, well, it's not good. So, getting these in, I have a feeling is going to be an absolute pain in the butt. But it's got to be done, so let's get to it. All right, and there we go. Wasn't as bad as I thought, and I got to tell you guys, using the arms as an articulated stand, absolutely awesome. These things work very well at holding it stable, so you can get these screws in. Cool. Let's see what's next. All right, so now we're gonna flip the chest over here. We're gonna take part 69, there are actually 2 of them, and make sure the posts are facing the outside. And you can see there are 3 posts here, there are 3 screw holes. So they're just gonna line up on top like that. Same over here. And we're gonna be using 6 PB 2.6 by 8 screws to hold them in place. And there we go, ready for the next step. Okay, now we gotta do a little prep before we get to the next step. We got part 3 and 2. 2 has a number 1, 3 has a number 2, and these are part 50. There are 2 of them, and we're gonna need, if I can find them, there they are, 4 of these PB 2x4 screws. And basically what's gonna happen is just put one of these on the outside, just like this. And there are 2 holes there, and we do the same for both. All right, now we're ready for the next bit. All right, for the next bit, we're gonna be looking at the underside again. And we're gonna pull out the pieces we just assembled, and they're gonna go in, make sure that this part is facing the front. And these posts right here are gonna go on the holes in there. So it should, yep, line up nice. So it's the 2 holes that have the little divots in them. We're gonna be using PB 2.3 by 6 screws to hold it in place. And we will repeat the process for the other side. And there you go, look at that. Nice and neat. And now the real fun begins. Okay, now we're gonna start attaching the chest to the rest of the body. Obviously, things are a little tight because this is a massive model, holy crap. You look in here, there are 3 holes down there and on either side for a total of 6 that'll match up with posts that are on there. That big hole right here in the back, right there, make sure that your cables for the legs go through there. So let's get this all lined up. Wow. There's a lot of slack on those leg cables, I gotta tell you. But, okay, look at that, that's pretty awesome. Then, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go a little freehand here. All right, so it should look something like this when you're done. You can kind of see the 6 holes in there. And we're gonna be using 6, sorry about the hand over the camera there, my bad. We're gonna be using 6 PB 2.6 by 8 screws through all those holes to hold everything in place. And of course, try not to twist up the cabling. And there you go. I'm gonna have to go free cam again, but you can see the screws are in place. Whew, that was a pain in the butt, but look at this guy, certainly coming together. Okay, y'all, I actually made a little change before we move up. I took the feet cables here and I brought them through the forward hole. I honestly don't know which one it's supposed to go through. It just seemed like that was a more appropriate place, so I did it because the instructions are not clear at all. It just says pass them into the chest cavity. So I did. Let's see what's next. All right, this next bit's gonna be fun. We got these 2 screw holes here, and then down here, there's another 2 and another 2 on this side. And those are for the head. And so we basically slide it in like so, make sure all the cables are out of the way. And what we're gonna be doing is putting on the 2 rearmost, and I don't have a good way of showing this because this thing is so huge. But on the 2 rearmost, we're going to be using the PB 2.3 by 6. But on the 4 on the sides, we're going to be using PB 2.6 by 6, so the slightly bigger screws, for a total of 6 screws. So let's see what I can do by getting this in. Okay guys, this took a lot longer to get in than it should have, and that is because of this little cable here that I'm holding. That is number 11, that is the on-off switch. I can't really show you but too well, but right here in the back, if you don't raise it up so that it goes to the side, that tiny little bit of insulation is enough to push everything off, and it just will not screw in. But I finally got it. We're finally ready for the next step. Holy crap, I can't wait. All right, for this next bit, we're gonna be putting the circuit board into its casing. So we'll pull this out, and we have, no, this one, okay. We've got part 70, which is the one that's got all the numbers on it. You can see one side is completely blocked off. That is the side that has no ports. So with the circuit board upside down like this, just kind of slide it in. There are 4 inner posts that are a little lower that this will line up with. And yeah, there we go. And then we use PB 2.3 by 6 screws to hold it in place, 4 of them. Nice and easy. And now we're going to take part, actually, 71, that's it. 71, we're going to place that right on top just like so. And 4 more PB 2.3 by 6 screws to hold it in place. There we go. Ready to rock and roll. All right, y'all. I'm gonna be honest, I have no good way to show this to you. I really don't. So I'm gonna bring it in, and then I'm gonna cut to the completed bit because this is gonna be a pain. But effectively what we're gonna be doing is taking the circuit board assembly we just did, we're gonna plug all of the wires in. and slide this thing right in there somehow. And then we're gonna take the chest piece that we did, should go like this, and it'll attach in, and there are 4 posts with 4 holes, and we're gonna be using PB 2.3 by 6 screws to hold it in place. So I wish I could show this better on camera, but he's too big, it's too complicated, and I don't have the first clue I'm gonna do it. So let me go ahead and get this done, and I will be right back. All right, look at this. It is not quite easy to get all of this out with one hand anyway, but you can see the whole matrix and chest assembly is in here and looking beautiful. Now with everything connected, you can actually test all of your electronics right now. I already have, but I'm not going to show that until we finish assembling the entire piece. So how about I just get right back to it? Alright, so I put Optimus in a sitting position, and I'm hoping, against hope, that this makes it a little easier to not only manipulate on my end, but maybe show you guys what's going on. So for the next bit, we've got parts 51 and 52 here, and on the back of them, you can see there's all these little tabs. There's 4 tabs. Right in here, there's 4 slots on either side so that this can cover up the screws that we just put in. This little cutout is actually going to be facing the interior, so it's actually going to fit so that the hinge for these little pieces that hide the matrix will go inside that cutout. So let's put some glue onto these tabs, and then we will get them into the slots. And there we go. And we've got that wonderful little detail right in there, looking beautiful. Okay, so for the next bit, we're going to take part 1 right here, and on the front, you can see there's a couple little slots there. And what we're going to do is glue in these little non-magnetic metal pieces right into those slots. So let me go ahead and take care of that. All right, and there they are, looking pretty. Next up, what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna bring the camera in free cam a little bit here, and on top, basically going to take this and bring it in kind of at an angle like this over the head, and then twist it so it goes something like that. And there are going to be 4 screw bases. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put in PB 2.6 by 6 screws in those holes. So let me go ahead and get that done. All right, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Now we have the magnets here on the top side, so hopefully it'll hold these just that little bit better. Look at that. How beautiful. All right, next up, we're gonna take parts 42 and 43 and parts 48 and 49, and on the back there is a number, in this case 2, and inside this there's also a number, in this case 1, but match up 2 with 2, 1 with 1, and there are 3 little pins in there. They're going to go in the 3 holes around this. Little glue on the pins, push this in to prep them. So let me go ahead and get that done. Okay, now we've got them done. How awesome! All right, going a little free cam again. Alright. Basically, what we're going to be doing is putting these to cover up these sections here. You can see we've got these 3 posts, and over here we've got 1, 2, 3 holes, and same for the other side. Put some glue on the posts or in the holes, doesn't really matter, and push them in to attach them. So now we're going to get that done. All right, and it should look a little something like this when you're done, ready to go, and only one thing left to do. That is part 41 here. On the bottom you can see there are 4 posts. I am honestly not sure which holes exactly it's going to go in, but this is going to come in like this and basically push down into those holes just like that. And yes, we are going to have to glue it. A little glue on the posts, line her up, push her in, and we're done. Let's get that done. Okay, it was actually harder to get in than it looks, but it's in now, and the glue is drying, and that, my friends, is the end. So let me clean up a little bit, get this guy stood up. Let's take a look at the finished product. And here he is, y'all! Optimus, fully assembled. Look at this guy! This is incredible! This is absolutely awesome! Oh, I'm so happy with this guy. So happy. Obviously, I've got him in a cool little pose here. And I'll get the lights off and we'll take a look at some of the lighting features. But even just this, I mean, in this nice little action pose, I am really enjoying this. All right, let me get the lights. All right, so first up, we've got his eyes. And we've got his chest lights. And there's the feet. And what I can't really show you with it all closed up, but we'll get it in a minute here. Obviously there's the axe and the gun. And if you open up the chest a little bit here, you can kind of see a tiny little bit of light bleed there, but not too much, which is great. But you've got the matrix in there as well. And I mean, just look at this guy. That is great. And that's just the lights. That is just the lights. We've also got sound. I'm going to go ahead and bring the microphone in close so you can listen to this. But take a listen to this sound. I don't know what the copyright is on this, so I can't play too much of it, but as far as I can tell, that's actually got the entire theme song to the 80s cartoon. That's awesome! That is absolutely incredible. We've, of course, got the Transformer sound. And as if that wasn't enough...
Greetings, people of Earth. I am Optimus Prime.
And he actually has 2 full speeches, basically. They're not long, maybe 3 sentences worth of speeches. But let me get the camera in so you can see a little more. Gonna go a little free cam here. All right, and with this in here, look at his visor.
People of Earth. I am Optimus Prime. More than meets the eye. The Autobots need your help to defeat the Decepticons. Let's roll. Always a hero. Greetings, people.
And then it just repeats. But I love how his little mask there, moves up and down. And you don't really hear the motor for it whenever the sound's playing, which is great. And of course, with all of these lighting options everywhere, absolutely amazing. The articulation on this guy is insane. I'm not going to get into all of the articulation right now. Like I said, there is a base that will be coming, and I'll see about doing an articulation video then. But the main articulation point that hasn't been covered in previous videos anyway is the shoulder joints here. And these are a little tight, but there is a lot of movement. You can see the angled out. They can actually angle forward and back. I can't show you too well here, primarily because how tight the joints are requires two hands. And when I mount the camera, you don't get a good view. So it's either give you a demo from a long distance in which you can't see anything, or give you a close-up and tell you what I can do without actually showing. Sadly, not a lot of options there. Maybe when I get the base, I'll try putting him in a few different poses to kind of demo some of this stuff. And of course, like I said, I'm going to try and do an articulation video at that time. Perhaps the biggest complaint that I've got is these legs. These things are hard to position. Very difficult. And of course, you're doing this while holding this massive, very heavy piece up. So, when you do it, you got to be real careful, especially because if you do drop it, some of the most vulnerable parts, like the smokestacks here, are just brittle plastic. They're going to snap right off. And then you've broken your very, very expensive piece. As for what we built in this issue, obviously, we assembled all the components we built before. I showed you the matrix cover as well as the matrix itself, sitting pretty in there. Very, very, very nice. And on the back side here, we've got the entire back. There's not too much to speak of. This is actually a really cool detail. I like that. And right here, we've got the battery pack and the on-off switch. Very neatly hidden. Very easy to get to if you know where it is, but very neatly hidden. Anyway, I guess to top it all off, for the end of pack 12, we also have one last accessory, and that's this giant matrix, which, frankly, I don't even know why anyone would want to use the giant matrix. He's got the little one right there. And who wants to pose with Optimus holding that big matrix? Maybe there's someone out there. If so, you do you. Now, one other thing, the axe here, you can't really hold it just like an axe. So you got to pull it out. He is ambidextrous, so both hands will work. And of course, he's got his other fist here, which you can ball up however you so choose. Slide it on in. And now he's got two hands instead of an axe coming out of one of his wrists. Which is pretty cool. I like it. The biggest complaint I got, aside from the posability, would be the lack of storage for the accessories. Now, I don't know what they could possibly have done to store the accessories, but if you choose not to use any of them, well, there's nowhere to put them. So, what can you do, What can you do? Anyway, that's about all I've got for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the series. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Have a great day.